In this chapter, we're going to learn CSS. So what is CSS? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and we're going to use it to add decoration and styling to our websites and give them a professional look. We will learn how to add colors to HTML text, boxes, or links. Also, we'll learn how to position different HTML components in our websites. We will also learn how to add animation and add 2D and 3D transformations to our websites. At the end of this chapter, you will be ready to create a professional maths tutorial website that you will then share with the world and show your potential to clients and employers. In this video, we're going to learn about the syntax of inline CSS. First of all, let's go to the projects folder and create a new folder for the CSS chapter. Let's call it CSS. And let's open this folder using brackets. Okay, we're going to create a new file inside this folder, and let's call it inline css.html. I'm going to paste the web structure taken from the hello world file, and let's have a title inline css. Okay, so we're going to create a paragraph. Deciding what not to do is as important as deciding what to do. Okay, so we want to decorate this paragraph using inline CSS. As the name suggests, inline CSS means that we are gonna be putting some styling inside the tag of the HTML element. So we're gonna use the style attributes, and inside this style we're gonna set the parameters that we want. So let's start with the color, for instance, and let's set it to green. Okay, let's go for live preview to see the changes as we are making them. Oh, okay, and let's change the font size as well to 300%, for instance. Okay, so the standard is 100%, which is 16 pixels, and 300% means that it's 3 times bigger than the standard. Okay, which means it's 48 pixels. All right, so this is the syntax. It's by using style, equal sign, and then inside the quotation marks we put all the parameters and we set them to whatever we want. Okay, so this is how inline CSS works. And learn internal CSS. So let's create a new file called internal css.html, and let's copy the content from the inline CSS file for now. Okay, so let's call it internal CSS. All right, so the internal CSS is used by creating a new element inside the head element. Okay, so inside the head we're going to have a new element called style. Okay, and then inside the style all the decoration and styling will go inside. So rather than having the styling inside the open tag of the paragraph, we are going to use this syntax. So first of all, I'm going to write P for paragraph. Okay. Okay, let's get rid of this first. So I'm going to write P for paragraph, and then we're going to have an open brace, then a close brace, and then inside we are going to set first the color. Okay, the color to green. Okay, and then we're gonna have a semicolon, and then we're gonna set the font size to 300%, just like that. Okay, we don't need the semicolon at the end, but we need it to separate the different parameters. So, but it's a good practice to keep the semicolon at the end just in case you want to add something else. All right, so this is the syntax. So now all the paragraphs are going to have this syntax. If we add another paragraph, second second paragraph is going to have the same styling. We're going to learn external CSS. So we have covered inline and internal CSS, and this time we will see how to link the HTML document to an external file where it can extract all the decoration and styling. So I'm just going to paste the contents of the previous file. Okay, so the way it works is, rather than having a style element where we put all the decoration, we're going to store this code inside an external file. Okay, so let's create a folder called CSS. Okay, and inside this folder, create a new file called style.css. So it's a CSS file and the extension is .css. Now we're going to copy paste this code. Okay. All right. So, and then we're going to put it in the style file. Okay. Now we need to link this file to that file so that we can actually import the styling. The way to do that is by adding a link element inside the head element. Okay, it's a self-closing tag, and we're going to have a relationship of style sheet. Okay, and we're going to need to give it a type which is text CSS. Okay, and now we need to give it an href telling the location of the styling file. Okay, and now we can see the styling appearing there. So it's pretty easy. First of all, we need an external file, and then we need to link the HTML file to this CSS file. Learn classes and IDs. Let's create a new file called classes and IDs .html, and let's import the content from the internal CSS file. By the way, we're gonna keep using the internal CSS for the rest of the CSS chapter, just for simplicity reasons. Okay, let's add a third paragraph. Okay, earlier we have styled all paragraphs using the P letter. Now we want to try something new. We want to style only the first paragraph. There is a way to do that is by using the ID concept. So inside the open tag of paragraph, we're going to give it an attribute ID, and we're going to call it the side, for instance. Okay. And rather than using the P letter, we're going to use a number sign followed by the ID name. And now you can see that only the first paragraph is styled using this styling. Okay. Now, if you want to style both the second and the third paragraph with a blue color, for instance, we can still use an ID for each paragraph. By the way, you can use one ID for one HTML element. You can't have two elements with the same ID. Okay. So there is another way to do this. It's by using the class concept. So the way to do that is by giving both paragraphs the same class name, for instance, blue, and then we're going to style the class with a blue color. So the way to style classes is by using the dot followed by the class name. Okay, and then now we can set the color to blue, and you can see that both paragraphs now are blue. Okay, so again, IDs are used to style one single element that can have one ID, and classes, they can be used to style many elements belonging to the same class. Learn the div and span elements. Let's start with the div. A div or division is an HTML section which groups block elements, and then the div is used to style these elements using CSS. Okay, let's start by creating our first div. The tag used for divs is div. Okay, it is a block element. Okay, let's create a paragraph inside the div. and let's call this first one Facebook. Let's create another div and let's call it Apple, and let's have a third div and we're going to put this time Microsoft in the paragraph. Okay, now we want to style these divs, so we're going to give each of them a class. So for the first one, we're going to give it a class and we're going to call it blue box. The second one, we're going to give it a class yellow box, and the third one, let's give it a class green box. Okay, now we're going to go to the style section and we're going to style the classes using the syntax we have learned. So it's dot followed by the name of the class. Okay, so now we're going to give the class a background color. So the syntax is background color, and there are several ways to choose a color. The first one is by using the name of the color. Okay, so also let's set the color of the text. So it's by using color, and let's set it to white. Also, we can give the div a certain height. So let's set it to 100 pixels, and let's give it a width, and let's set it to auto. Okay. All right. Now, if we wanted to use the same color as the one in the Facebook login page, there is a nice way to do that. Let's go to the Facebook login page. Okay, I'm going to use a Google Chrome extension. It's called Color Pick Eyedropper. So if I click on the icon, I can hover in the page and I can pick up any color I want. So we want this color, so I'm just going to click left and I'm going to copy this value. So this value is the hexadecimal value of the color. Okay, so the way to use it is by using first a number sign and then putting the value after the number sign. And you can see that the exact Facebook color is used now in the blue box div. Okay, let's style the next class. So yellow box. Okay, let's give it a background color as well. This time, we're going to use another Google Chrome extension to pick up a specific color. So this time we're going to use the ColorZilla. It's a nice extension as well. And we're going to go to the color picker. So now we can use this tool to select any color we want. And then the tool will translate the color into the different values. So you've got the RGB values, you've got the HSL values, and also you've got the hexadecimal value. So let's go for this color, for instance, and let's use the RGB value, for instance. Okay. Let's give it a height as well of 100 pixels, and let's give it a width of auto as well. Okay. Now we're going to move to the last one, green box. So dot green box. And let's style it as well. Let's have a background color. And okay, this time we're going to use a different way of setting the color. We're going to use a bracket extension. So I'm going to go to the list of available extensions and I'm going to look for a color picker. We're going to go for this one. Let's install it. Okay. Now, if you want to use this color picker, all you need to do is click Ctrl-Alt-K, and a box like this will show up, and then you can select any color you want, and that's going to be translated to a value over here. So let's go for a green color. Let's use this one, for instance. Okay, let's also give it a height of 100 pixels and keep the width auto. All right. Okay, so this is it regarding divisions. So we have used divisions to style block elements. So all these paragraphs now are styled using the classes we have given to the different divs. Now let's go for spans. So spans are inline elements which are used to group inline elements and style them using CSS. So what we're going to do now, we're going to add some text to the Facebook paragraph. Let's say Facebook is great. And now all we want to do is to style this word, only great. Okay, so the way to do that is by using a span. So we're gonna put the word inside a span. Okay, and then we're gonna style the span. So let's give it a class. Let's call it great, for instance, and we're gonna give it a style. So dot great, and let's give it a background color, and let's use again Control-Alt-K, and let's go for a color. Let's go for this one, for instance, or this one. Okay, and now you can see that only that word is styled with this background color. Okay, so this is it regarding divs and spans. They are really important when it comes to styling different HTML elements. And the syntax is pretty easy, and we're gonna keep using them in the next videos to do styling using CSS.